Hola, ¿cómo estás? Bonjour. Welcome to the very first international episode of Still Scrolling. I'm one of your hosts, Justin.
Yo soy el otro host, Derek.
And I'm not that fancy. I'm the other host, Stefania.
Stefania, what languages do you know?
I say Yo sono Stefania. That's Italian.
Oh, ya sé
muy
like this.
bien, muy bien.
I'm not doing that.
If I look different, is because I'm in Sweden, and if I sound different, is because I'm now Swedish. I have adopted their culture. I'm gonna come back with blonde hair and blue eyes. But listen. As soon as I got off the plane, World War III was happening. It was a whole thing. But a lot of news happened while I was on the plane on the way to Sweden, and we couldn't talk about it alone. That's why we had to call in the big guns, if you will, pun intended. Which is why we called in the illustrious, the incredible, the undeniable CJ, aka at Sidekick Inc. Welcome to the show.
That's my qualification. You call me in during World War III. That's my introduction.
Listen. It was a huge thing. We had to bring you. If you don't know CJ, he just had a very, very funny TikTok about the state of the world. But CJ, tell the people that don't know you a little about yourself.
Well, my name is CJ. Online, I go by Sidekick Inc. And I kind of do a little bit of everything, but I'm mostly known in the collectible space. I work a lot with Funko. I work a lot with Thrilljoy, a lot of, different sort of collectible and hobby niche, I guess I would say. I also love movies and entertainment. So I pretty much try to post about the stuff that I like the most and hope that people who like the same stuff find me. That's it.
Yes,
yeah.
I hope the listeners will find your lovely content. But I do have a question for everyone. I'll start with Stefania. What is the population of Iran?
I know that it's not as big as the U.S.
Wrong. Derek, what is the population of Iran?
90.61 million as of 2023.
Is that true?
Yeah, I just Googled it real quick.
CJ, what is the population of Iran?
Yeah, about 90 million, I'd say.
Oh, gosh. You guys certainly did better than Ted Cruz, because have you guys seen the interview with him and Tucker Carlson?
I have not, because I don't watch those frauds.
Here we go. Roll the tape. Just roll the tape.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple? What's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not
okay.
even. You don't know anything about Iran. So
Okay,
actually,
I
the
am
country,
not the Tucker Carlson
but
expert on Iran.
You're a
who
senator
says,
who's calling for the
you're one who
overthrow of the
claims-
government.
You're the one
and
who
you don't know
claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country.
Republicans are divided on what to do about Iran, and President Trump.
And enough of that. But Stefania.
Jump scare. Is a horror episode here?
Yeah.
No, I
Why is it still
pulled
on my
it.
screen?
Oh gosh, I pulled it on. Listen,
He looks like a fish.
Listen, we all have to make sacrifices, and one of those sacrifices includes looking at the 47th president. But that's beside the point. This was all over social media, and I think this is a case of broken clock is right twice a day. CJ, what do you think about the population of Iran, and why did Tucker Carlson ask Ted Cruz about this?
Well, one thing I want to comment on is, like you said, about a broken clock being right twice a day. A lot of people seem to be giving Tucker Carlson like a lot of credit for this, but it feels like the bar was just so incredibly low that he just looks better in contrast to how Ted Cruz is fumbling over his words. But I don't think Tucker Carlson deserves that much credit for such a, especially given that context of that conversation. It's just, the bar is so low, and Cruz is just, I like how frustrated he gets even when he's addressed on like the ethnic mix too. Because he's trying to change the topic and sort of he says something along the lines of, "Oh, that's cute. Like that's cute. Like what are we doing here?" And yeah, I'm glad that Tucker Carlson pushed back on him, like from a journalism perspective, but he made Cruz look pretty silly, you know.
Super silly.
Goofy.
Yeah.
Goofy. I don't think Ted Cruz was prepared to be asked real journalistic questions, especially from Tucker Carlson. But as the resident Tucker Carlson fan, Stefania, what did you think of this viral moment?
God damn it.
Oh, I just find it comedic that these two frauds are just going at each other's throats about the population of Iran. Yeah, you should probably know a bit about the country that you're trying to demolish. And I guess good on Tucker Carlson for asking him. I still don't like the guy. I still don't like either of them. But as a journalist, in a journalist perspective, you're asking correct questions here. You should know facts about this country if you want to if you want it to topple over, right? You're going to attack somewhere. You should know a bit about the facts of it, or like how they work. You know what I mean? I'm not
Who's gonna be
go in
impacted?
blind. Who's going to be impacted? I'm not going to go in blind, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, right? Otherwise, it's going to backfire in the end, right? You're going to get your ass beat, ass on fire, and I don't want to see. I want to see Ted Cruz's ass on fire. So
we all hate Ted Cruz on this pod, correct?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
word.
Yes.
I mean, I've been out on him since he let Donald Trump call his wife so many horrible names. Derek, what did you think of this interview?
I think it's as an isolated incident, it's great, right? Because this is exactly what journalism should be. I hate it for making me actually enjoy Tucker Carlson's little shit-eating giggle that he does, you know, when he starts to get like wound up and trolling like that, and he's like, he does like that noise. I hate that so much. And I hate that I actually enjoyed it this time around. But ultimately what this boils down to is Ted Cruz getting his just desserts for essentially profiting off of or benefiting from Tucker Carlson's gimmick all these years. And now that he lost his job, right, and he's doing his own thing and he's kind of independent, he can pick and choose when he wants to actually be a journalist, right? He can pick and choose when he wants to maybe stand up for something and go against the party line and all that bullshit. Same as Candace Owens, right? Every now and then she says something that makes sense, and all these left of center people are like, oh, good for her, she's growing, yada yada yada. And it's like, no, these people are not growing.
Candace
Yeah.
Owens growing?
Exactly.
Who is saying that?
Exactly.
Who?
People that just aren't as familiar with them, right, and don't understand the whole kind of like misinformation, disinformation industrial complex that is podcasting on the right wing side of things.
It's like what I said, when the bar is on the floor and somebody says something that's generally agreed upon, they
Yep.
call it growth, and they think, oh, this is an amazing person all of a sudden.
Exactly. And they completely ignore the fact that they're only doing this because they no longer have that job that was paying them to feed the bullshit to the masses. And it's absolutely no guarantee that they're going to continue to go on this path, right? It's just what's convenient now because they know, hey, there is a subsect of No More Wars Republicans that voted specifically to end the wars, and they're gonna like this. They're gonna like this little juicy bit of running them through the coals a bit. But next week something will happen, and it'll be back to the same bullshit for sure.
yeah, I love how they want to end the wars
Yeah, by starting a new war.
by starting a new
Yeah.
Classic.
Right
Vote
after
for
this
Kamala
interview.
and you'll get World War III.
Listen, right after this interview dropped, Apparently, Donald Trump and Israel bombed a nuclear facility in Iran. And for those of us that were alive and aware, so that wouldn't be Stefania in this case.
She was alive. She was
I was
alive.
alive. I was not aware, but I was
Stefania,
alive.
Do you remember the Iraq War?
I remember hearing about it when I was a kid, but I was a kid. I had no clue what was going on.
She's like, yeah, in high school, right? When you learn about it for the first time.
Yeah.
Stefania was like, I was there. I was in Iraq.
Yeah.
I was there. I was in the trenches.
No. Okay. Here's the thing. I don't know about you guys, but this is history repeating itself when it comes to the Iraq War and the war. And now in Iran, and now I'm a little concerned because number one, we should be forgiving people. We should not be forgiving Ted Cruz and Candace Owens. Like, we want people on our side, on the left of center people, you know? No. There's some people that can't be forgiven, and that includes Ted Cruz, that includes Tucker Carlson, that includes Candace Owens. They're just opportunists. I will never trust them, you know? Maybe when the MAGA thing runs out, we can let those people come back, but no. Especially, remember when does anybody else remember when Candace Owens said that Hitler had a point?
Oh my!
I mean,
don't
I've lost
remember
track
that,
of how many of them have said that. To be
Yeah,
honest,
That was
I will
the
say though,
longest
as a
pause
person
I've
who lives in
ever
Texas,
on this pod. Maybe it's
we
the
weren't sure if you cut
international-
out. We weren't sure.
yeah.
Oh no! What part did it cut
I was
out?
gonna say, as
on?
a person
Did
who
it
lives in
part-
Texas, and
All right, hold on. Justin. Shh.
Yes.
Okay, CJ, go.
oh yeah, no, I was just saying, as a person who lives in Texas and a person who lived through that, the snowstorm where I lost power for more than 48 hours, lost water for 6 days, and all of that stuff went on. And Ted Cruz hopped on a plane to Cancun? Is that where he went? Like, I definitely not a fan of Ted Cruz, and I wouldn't trust him. I wouldn't trust him to help Texans, let alone help the country in any capacity.
Dang. It's
I can
now and
trust
forever.
this
The official still scrolling
Oh.
position is fuck Ted Cruz. But speaking of fucking over people, Stefania, what did you scroll on
How is
this
this
week?
transition?
I don't know.
Listen.
And he's cutting out, too.
I'm
And he cut
trying
out
my
at the perfect time.
What did I say? Oh my gosh.
It's
Hello?
that Swedish Wi-Fi.
Can you hear me? Am I good now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What happened? What part? You know what? Continue. Stefania, what did you scroll on this week?
Well, me being the Marvel fan that I am, I scrolled upon some Spider-Man 4 news. Turns out John Bernthal, the Punisher, will be joining the cast of Spider-Man 4, and I am super excited because John Bernthal, Punisher, is going to do some crazy shit, and Peter's going to be like, what the hell, man? Like, he's going to probably, like, kill someone right in front of Spidey, and Tom's gonna be like, come on. I'm just ready for that kind of like banter and back and forth. So including John Bernthal, the rest of the we already knew that Zendaya and Jacob Batalon were returning, but I guess it's more confirmed now. We also have Sadie Sink, who is going to be a character we do not know. We have theories though, but yeah, I'm excited to see the dynamic between the Punisher, someone who is a brute force and kind of just goes off of violence instead of like questioning first, like kill first, ask questions later is his kind of thing. And between him and Spider-Man's kind of like a work dynamic. So
Interesting. Okay. I did not watch the Punisher show, unfortunately. CJ, did you watch Punisher? Are you excited for this news?
I watched both seasons of Punisher, and I will admittedly say I liked his scenes in the Daredevil show a lot better than the story arc in Punisher. But season 1 of Punisher was really good. I liked season 1 better than season 2, but I haven't seen it since it was out, like since they released. So I can't say a whole lot about the show itself, but I can say John Bernthal is. I think he's fantastic at what he does. Also, like what you mentioned about Peter and the Punisher, like where does everybody stand when it comes to superheroes doing things in different methods? Because obviously in comics we have people like Peter or people like Matt Murdock who have sort of like that Batman like no kill rule, and then we have people like Punisher who take things a little more seriously in the name of justice against the worst people in fiction that we come against.
It's like the level of vigilante. Like there's like a scale, and somewhere on that scale, like the bottom is like Daredevil, right? And I wouldn't claim Spider-Man to be a vigilante, even though Wilson Fisk would say that, right? But then you go up the scale more, and then you find like Punisher more higher up. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they both work together, because there's definitely going to be some, one, miscommunication, and two, some back and forth, like, yes, let's do this, no, let's not do this. I'm interested to see like what that script is going to come out to be like, how, I guess, like, not how many rewrites they have to do or like how many things they have to add, but like how many drafts before we get like the final, like how much work did this go through to get that perfect dynamic duo. Now I know people want to see Daredevil and Spider-Man so badly. This, with John Bernthal joining the cast, there still is an opportunity for a cameo from Daredevil, right? I mean, he's not, no one remembers Tom to be Spider-Man, right? So, and also Matt Murdock was his lawyer in No Way Home. So he's not going to really remember him, but he could make a cameo appearance. I loved, with Daredevil Born Again, I absolutely loved John Bernthal, the Punisher. I think he was my favorite in the show. I enjoyed him watching the Daredevil show, the original one, but this one kind of like stepped that up for me.
You know what's crazy though? Like, okay, Jonathan Bernthal helped Tom Holland audition for Spider-Man, and Tom Holland helped Jonathan Bernthal helped him audition for the Punisher. So I think it is a full circle moment. Derek, what do you expect to happen in the new Spider-Man Brand New Day? Yeah, Brand New Day.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna see the Punisher immediately try to shoot Spider-Man. Like, I think that's how they meet, right? And it's gonna be like a whoa, that Tom Holland, comic, relief kind of dialogue. And
That's
then
what I
I
mean in
think
the comic
at some
books,
point
right?
they're gonna recreate. Maybe. But I think they're definitely going to also recreate that shot from the comics where he's carrying Peter all messed up, right? Like all beat up. 'Cause I think it's Civil War, right? They figure out who Peter is or something, and they beat him up or some shit like that. So I think they're going to recreate that. And then my question is, where's he carrying him to, right? Especially if it's Fisk and anti-vigilante. Like, you can't just take him to a hospital. So who's he taking him to for help if he's all messed up? And then obviously by the end of it all, I'm sure it'll be some sort of happy ending. They're working together and it's going to be really cool and fun. So I think there's a lot of potential for this story to kind of give us a whole wide range of emotions. And then we also forgot that we've got, I forget her name.
Sadie Sink?
No, the actress from The Bear. She's in the movie too.
Io?
Which one?
No, not Io.
Isn't she going to play like Miles's grandmother or mother? I don't know.
We don't know. We don't know who.
Yeah.
Or aunt.
Also,
Right.
Mark Ruffalo joined the cast too. Nobody's talking about that.
Yeah,
Oh,
I totally forgot about Mark Ruffalo.
So here's
Yeah.
what's fascinating to me about this entire thing, and this is everyone. I need everyone to put on your tinfoil hats really quickly, because we're about to drink some movie tea. Because if you guys know the details of the Spider-Man Sony contract, right? Only certain characters can cross over with Spider-Man unless there's like a special thing, right? Punisher is one of those characters that can appear in Spider-Man and appear in Marvel proper, right? Here's what makes this interesting for me. Vincent D'Onofrio was asked about being in a Spider-Man movie on a panel, right? And he says, well, I can't because I am specifically contract television kingpin, and Spider-Man can never appear in a Marvel television show because of its rights issue. Sony has the movie rights, not the television rights. Very weird, right?
Oh.
So there's no chance that Spider-Man comes over to a Daredevil show or anything like that. I was led to believe that means Vincent D'Onofrio is not going to show up in a Spider-Man movie. And then the Punisher joins a Spider-Man movie? Either Vincent is wrong or he's lying to us.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
because-
I think we're past the studios allowing certain information out, right? Because especially now, there's every other day there's a rumor, there's a report about who's joining what and this, that, and the other. So I think just like the details of whatever deal they're striking behind the scenes, even down to that point, they're just like they're keeping that airtight as possible. Because I wouldn't be, even with like the renewal. I remember when I think Avengers Infinity War was coming out or something like that. The original Sony deal was already up, right?
Yes.
And it was like such a huge deal when they renewed the deal and all that stuff. And it was like, it was news that they renewed Spider-Man and all that stuff. So I'm pretty sure they've renewed it since then at some point, and we just haven't heard about it because, it's not in their best interest to have everybody know, because at best case scenario, it just takes away the magic of it all, of the stories. And, now we know who's going to be in here and that and the other. Worst case, it's, just leaking business details everywhere. And so it has to be that there's just a new deal in place.
I feel like I'm split on the new movie existing in the MCU also, because the thing everybody was talking about at the end of No Way Home, when nobody knows who Peter is, and he's swinging away in his new suit. He doesn't have Stark tech. Everybody was saying, finally, a Spider-Man film where we just get to be with Peter and he has no allies. And then we hear stuff about Mark Ruffalo joining the cast. We hear stuff about John Bernthal. And it's like, are they just bringing in another crossover movie, or are they just smaller cameos? Because there was even speculation of Spider-Man crossing over with Hawkeye, because the last episode of Hawkeye took place in Christmas time, and he's swinging it. Just all this speculation of crossover, and I don't know if we're going to get more of a standalone Spider-Man story, or if it's going to be another Tony Stark, movie or something like that.
Tony
I
Stark
also,
Jr.
this is really weird, but I saw today, and I don't know if this is real or not, but I saw that Bella Ramsey joined Avengers Doomsday as like a Iron Man like a Tony Stark variant.
Oh no! Don't tell me
What?
that.
Are you
I-
breaking
literally-
news on the show?
I saw it
Are
today.
you sure
I was
that's
like,
not a
what?
meme?
No, it could be a meme, but like I saw it from like one of those like Marvel update accounts. I don't know which
Yeah.
one it was, but
I
like
dig it.
I saw
dig
it twice. I saw it twice. So
Oof.
2 different accounts saying that. I don't think it's real.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't want an Iron Man. I don't want a Tony Stark variant, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well,
We're done with
yeah.
Tony Stark.
Well,
He's
exactly.
Okay.
The reason I said, are you
according
sure it's not a
to-
meme, is because there was a trend a few weeks back, or when The Last of Us Season 2 came out, there was this trend of incels post, like, fake fan casting Bella Ramsey as all kinds of characters.
Yeah.
And
As
then
a
it could be
meme.
that then. But like I
Yeah.
saw it twice today. I was like, this is weird. And today too. Then no days prior, which is weird.
I just Bella Ramsey. I don't know if you guys watched The Last of Us Season 2.
Yeah.
I think we need to let them grow up a little bit.
Mhm.
And I mean that as in like actually pause that. We're not talking about The Last of Us right now. But I will say this though. I will say this. I think the movie that they're starting to make is starting to come into focus a little bit, because if Punisher's there, and then we have Sadie Sink playing an unnamed character, and we also have Zendaya coming back as well. I think I know what they're trying to do. Last time we talked about the Spider-Man movie, I thought Sadie Sink was going to play Firestar. I don't think it's that cool. Here's my prediction. I think that Sadie Sink is playing Carly Cooper.
I think you said that last time too.
Did I?
Yeah, that was one of your
And
theories.
Because I think they're going to do Spider Island, where the whole island of, I think it was Manhattan, gets spider powers. And then everyone becomes Spider-Man. So, because she's not playing an X-Men, Carly Cooper's kind of a redhead. She's not Mary Jane. And we have a bunch of like random, like, I guess not hero characters, but villain characters sprinkled throughout this movie. That's my best guess on what this could be. Does anybody have a better idea? Because it's not Brand New Day, the story. I guarantee it's not.
I think it's too early to tell. I think the MCU loves to never do the more fantastical stories, right? So, and when they do, right, we end up with like Secret Invasion, which is not at all Secret Invasion. So I think it's just she's Mary Jane. I don't think it's that crazy. I think it's gonna be one of these things
think
where
she's Mary Jane?
Yeah. I think it's
They
just
would do that to
they're
Zendaya?
letting Zendaya go. Yeah.
Zero
That would be
chance.
the biggest misdirect. That's
Zero
such a
chance.
misdirect, though.
They would
Yeah.
never
I think
do
especially hold on, especially if what's her name again? The actress from The Bear.
I forgot her name.
Especially
Oh my
if
God.
she is Miles' mom and they're bringing in Miles and they're starting to tease Miles, they might be setting up the Brand New Day as, the incursions, the movie's going to end post-incursion and Zendaya's not there anymore. She's not Michelle Jones anymore. It's Mary Jane,
Oh.
right?
There's
and
no way.
and
They would never do
yeah.
that.
and that's how they bring in Miles, right?
They would never do that to Zendaya. Undercut her like that? You know what?
It's not undercutting. It's not undercutting. It's just, these actors go through their eras and like they're not going to be these characters forever.
You know what
True.
bugs me
It's
about the
Spider-Man,
MCU
though.
and the fan base, though? What
There's
bugs
no
me
way.
is that in comics we have like dozens and dozens and dozens of takes on the same character, right? There's the Amazing Spider-Man line, like, you know what I mean? You have these different comic series, and they all have like their own canon or their own sort of storylines. And you say, well, in this version of Batman, he's like this, or this version of Superman, he's like this. And people can accept all of those different stories as their own universes. But then when you put out something like the MCU and you make one tiny change, they lose their minds and say it's not comic accurate. When it's like, this is it's its own universe and it can exist in, I don't think the way they've set up Zendaya, I don't think there has to be a Mary Jane. I think they can let Zendaya be this universe's MJ, just like in some comic timelines, people have different identities and different universes or different origins,
It could be. Yeah, my theory about her being MJ, it's more based off of like speculation, because in my brain, right, trying to be Tom Holland right now, I'm done. I love being Spider-Man. I'm done. Let's give me an end cap. The Brand New Day is that everybody's recast and it's post incursion. The main timeline, the main universe is the MCU, the 616, whatever we want to call it. Miles is now in here, and Peter Parker's somebody else. Mary Jane is somebody else. So it is very speculative on my end, for sure.
Zero chance. Zero. Because
I mean, the end of Secret Wars, it does happen where like all other universes collapse.
Yes, and
go
that's
back
how
to one
Miles.
timeline,
Yes,
and that's how Miles joins the MCU. So I mean, it's back to the 616 timeline. So technically, did they say that the Marvel Studio MCU universe is 616? Is that confirmed?
That's what the MCU says, but
That's what the
Sony
MCU
says
says, but
Sony
Sony
says
says-
199999.
Yeah.
You
so
think Multiverse of Madness was conditioning us for that, for all these new universes and incursions?
probably that's where it was kind of like introduced a bit. So
I think. I mean,
it could be like where Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Hey, this is kind of a stretch, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man can maybe not exist, and we get like a new one. But
zero
that's like a
chance.
bit of a stretch.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
that's a bit of a-
Zero chance.
That's what I'm saying.
That happens.
They're
That's a bit
recasting
of-
everybody.
That's a bit of a stretch. But it could be also like if this is not the 616 timeline, then this universe, this MCU universe that we know will collapse. We'll have characters that will transfer over to the 616 timeline. That's where we get our X-Men. That's where we see the Fantastic Four, and it just all comes together.
Yeah.
But think about it this way: when's the last time a Tom Holland movie where he wasn't Spider-Man did well?
Hey, the Odyssey's coming out.
Which is exactly
we gotta do
why.
that.
Hold on.
I
This
said,
is
when's
that's
the last
exactly why.
time?
Right, because he's got that Spider-Man vibe going
Yeah.
still. So he's wrapping it up. They've even said it like, "Hey, we're retiring when we have kids." So like he can't be doing this forever. He's not signing another 10-year contract, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he
I
is. He
think
has to
Brand
pay
New Day
somehow.
is very much. It's a double meaning. It's a double meaning, not just for the story being told, but the character and the actor themselves. Where
Yeah.
Tom Holland's done, I think. I don't
We
know.
I
also
think
retire
he's
Peter
never
Parker,
giving
and we
it
get
up.
Miles as Spider-Man.
He's never giving it up.
I mean,
There's no way.
it's a moneymaker, so I wouldn't blame him. But I think I don't know when him and Zendaya are getting married, but I mean, like Derek said, they said that once they have kids, they're retiring, or they're they could come back later, when
Yeah.
their kids are like older, right? But they'll be like older MJ, older Peter, kind of like in the Spider-Man game. They're older, not quite that age, but like. And then Miles comes in, and he's the Spider-Man of that universe.
It would also be weird. Maybe he sticks around, right? And it's like you said, he's more of a mentor,
Yeah.
older, and then the focus is on Miles as the main Spider-Man. Because it's not like in the comics where you can have all these characters operating at once, and people just buy whatever series, whatever comics they want to buy. It's not the same with movies. It's going to be like an oversaturation to have 2 or 3 Spider-Mans going at once, especially in today's climate where they're already going to be like, oh, Miles is not Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's going to kind of do him a disservice at the box office and potentially ruin whatever potential projects they might have in mind for him. So they
I
might
feel
give
like
Peter a back seat.
we already are dealing with that, like, I won't call it a fatigue, but sort of that contradiction of so many superheroes operating. Like, take New York, for example. There's so many superheroes operating in New York right now in the MCU that
Yep.
it gets talked about every time a movie comes out. Where was Spider-Man? And then they have to do all this explaining every time, like in Doctor Strange. Chavez, America Chavez asks, where's Spider-Man? Where's Ant-Man? Where are all these people? And they have to explain it in every movie because it's impossible to have a Endgame level cast in every single movie and have them teaming up every single time.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
one of
they
the things from the
should team
comics
up
that
every
doesn't
single
translate.
time. It's super.
You don't miss the
reasonable.
days of the 2000s with these
Okay.
one-off, not connected universe superhero movies?
No, I think one of the problems of the MCU right now is because they're not connected. You're telling me an entire like blackness covers all of New York and Doctor Strange does nothing? Like,
Yeah, that's
Well,
one thing I
that's-
have. That's
hold-
one issue that I have with the MCU, where
Well,
they all
hold on.
exist in New York. Where the hell are they?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. Sometimes they don't explain it with exposition. They just craft the movie in a certain way to where it's like you just connect the dots on your own. So like the Void takes over Manhattan, the timey-wimey of it all is kind of weird, right? Because when you're in the Void, it's for how long we don't know, and then when they come out, it's a quick, oh, these are the new Avengers, movie's over, right? So I'm sure if there was like 20 more
less
minutes
than 15
in that
minutes.
event, right,
No.
15 more minutes, yeah, the Avengers are going to show up. Somebody's showing up. Captain America's probably showing up, but he's got to fly over there. Doctor Strange probably would have been the first one to just portal there.
Yeah.
Right, but they had to cut that movie right at that moment, or cut to another scene or something like that.
what
And
it is?
They're going to
you know-
explain it. They're going to say
Okay.
that the Void The Void did that at the exact same time that Kingpin cut off the power in New York. That's what happened. Is they happened at the same time. So
It
people just
happened
thought it was a
during
blackout.
the day.
Listen,
Okay.
listen. MAGA would believe it. MAGA would believe
Oh
it.
my
They'd be like,
gosh.
yeah, it was the liberals with the blackouts and
Oh
blah
my
blah blah. And
gosh.
it's like it was the daytime. Hello.
What is the most egregious example of a hero not showing up in the MCU?
Oh.
Oh, that's a good one.
Where you're like, they would have
I
been there 100%.
No, I think it's Spider-Man Far From Home, where he's like asking Nick Fury, like, oh, what about Thor? Oh, off planet. What about this
Yeah.
other one? And they just literally explain it away like, oh, nobody's available. Bullshit,
Yeah.
nobody's available. That's bullshit. I'm sorry.
Who else would,
And
at that time, who else would be there? Captain Marvel's not going to come down from space to beat Mysterio.
It was
a guy
post
with
Endgame.
drones?
It was post Endgame, right? So
Yeah.
literally anybody. Literally anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody was available except Thor. Because they said Thor was off planet or something like that.
You think he's going to call Hawkeye?
No, I'm not saying who would be the perfect
You think Nick Fury
hero.
is going to call
I'm-
Ant-Man?
I'm saying they're all available. They were all available,
War Machine?
and they did not have to pick the high school kid who was on a school trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Nick
Okay.
Fury wasn't actually there. Nick Fury wasn't. He was in space the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Yeah.
scroll.
Yeah.
Stefania?
I
What is the
did
most
expect to
egregious
see more
example?
scrolls in the MCU now.
True.
Shit, I don't have one yet.
CJ?
Well, just in recent memory, the only thing coming to mind is the Void. Like thinking about the whole New Avengers thing and the everything going on in the leading up to Thunderbolts and everything. It does feel like they briefly mention Captain America, Brave New World, and like they briefly show Bucky have that cameo and stuff. But it just kind of seems like the Thunderbolts are on their own in this situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else besides Thunderbolts having. That's a huge example.
They
Yeah.
did a good
Everything
job
else.
with like Eternals took place in another like throughout history, so that's not current events. And
Yeah.
Ant-Man took place in the quantum realm. Captain Marvel took place off planet, the Marvels, I mean. So I mean, maybe Miss Marvel. A lot of those events took place in New Jersey. Nobody showed up.
That's true.
I have a good one. You guys remember when the president got kidnapped in Iron Man 3?
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
first
where the
person
hell
you
was
call is
literally Captain America?
Yeah.
What? You're telling me the president of the United States gets kidnapped and you're not calling the Avengers? Insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of being insane, how many Tyler Perry fans are in this chat? Oh wow, you guys don't watch Madea?
Do
like
not call
that?
me a
Damn,
Tyler Perry
okay.
fan. I know. I felt like you were gonna come at me like the biggest Tyler Perry fan.
I'd rather watch
Well,
Tucker Carlson than Tyler Perry.
Well, you already stole my joke, Stefania. I already know you haven't heard this story, so I'm sorry to crush your Tyler Perry dreams. But
Okay.
Tyler Perry is not a nice guy. He got some allegations against him. If you haven't heard, Tyler Perry is being accused by an actor named Derek Dixon because he filed a lawsuit about coercive work environment, sexual assault, sexual harassment, gender violence, and all the stuff that comes with that. Apparently, there was a quid pro quo scenario where Derek Dixon did some things for Tyler Perry, physical things. I'm
I'm going to need you to start saying Mr. Dixon.
Mr. Derek
I know. Every
Dixon.
time you say Derek, I think of Derek
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Oh no! Okay, Mr.
We have Derek in
Dixon.
studio right here.
Oh my gosh, that would have been hilarious. Anyways, Mr. Dixon says he met Perry in 2019, and he pitched his script to him. And then after that, he got a lot of promotions. And then Tyler Perry invited him over to his guest bedroom in only his underwear. And I'll let you guys read the story for itself. But As soon as Derek Dixon said start to say no because his script was not selling, and Tyler Perry was not selling his script, Tyler Perry unfortunately killed his character off in a popular Tyler Perry show. And then, yeah, I know, right? Crazy. The reason why we had to talk about this is because I feel as though I'm worried that, how do I say this? I'm worried that Tyler Perry might get away with this because I'm very scared. But Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Tyler Perry for a while now is just very much like it's modern day blaxploitation films, right? And there's people that defend him, and it's like, oh well, his audience likes that kind of stuff, and it's a specific audience and demographic that he makes those films for, which is valid to an extent, sure. But it just feels like everything Tyler Perry is either a caricature of blackness, either in a comical sense or in like this very melodramatic, extremely exaggerated situations that the most recent one is the one with Taraji P. Henson, where it's like she's on food stamps and she lost her job, and it's more, it's not a comedy, but it's just like, do you make any other sort of film, right? But he's rich. He's super successful. He's very powerful, and for the most part has been super under the radar when it comes to like his personal life, his private life, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think I'm with you there, where it's like he's accumulated this wealth and power, and it was only really a matter of time before something came out about this. So I think, yeah, he might just get away with it because it's very much like, I see him being the type where it's like, I'm technically didn't do anything illegal here, right? And I think the victim participated in a lot of this stuff, or willingly. So it was very much like, okay, well, the minute it's not to victim shame, but that's what's going to happen in the courtroom. They're going to victim shame. So
I was worried that he was going to get away with this because I feel because a lot of people are defending him. And let me be clear, it's very clear in this lawsuit that he did that shit. But CJ, I didn't mean to cut you off. What do you think?
No. Well, actually, like what you said about people defending him, I was going to bring up another core of his demographic, which seems to be like he really plays on religion and makes a lot of sort of like, I think he portrays his characters, or at least portrays himself as a person too, as a Christian, and sort of growing up. I grew up in a Christian church, and I saw a lot of Tyler Perry films when I was young, and now as I'm older,
they're playing Tyler Perry films in church.
Well, not in church, but let me put it this way: I feel like a lot of white Christians like Tyler Perry films because they are digestible black movies that are also Christian themed, and I think that is sort of a demographic that he taps into. The same people that will tell you they don't like Ryan Coogler because his movies, the way they depict culture, will watch Tyler Perry movies. Those are the same people.
That's insane. I disagree highly. Are you kidding me? Because I feel like the people who think that aren't watching Tyler Perry movies. White people ain't watching Tyler
not
Perry
the extreme
movies.
ones. They're not watching anything black.
White people are not watching
what
that
Derek
shit.
said though is a lot of the characters and plot lines being sort of written in a comedic way or written in a stereotypical way, sort of like I don't know, man. I just know that I can only speak from my experience that there was a lot of people I knew. There was a lot of people I knew that were watching Tyler Perry movies, and there were a lot of white people in Christian churches watching Tyler Perry movies.
Which white people were watching Tyler Perry movies? What is their favorite?
Where I grew up, I grew up in a little farming town in California.
Okay,
oh, wow.
CJ.
Yeah.
What is your favorite Madea movie?
Oh my gosh. Actually, I remember seeing, I think it was Why Did I Get Married 2? I think I remember seeing that when it came out. But the
in theaters?
Madea movies, there was, I don't think I saw it in theaters, but I think I saw it like really. I might have even seen it in theaters. I'm just telling you what I think. I don't. Whether this is Tyler Perry's intentions or not, what I'm telling you is white people, specifically white Christians who like to say I'm not racist, will say I'm not racist because I watch Tyler Perry movies. And like that's the sort of demographic is what I'm saying.
We
is that
have to do a
because
poll.
his movies are comedic, and Christian coded. I feel like it's really accessible for a lot of white Christians to sort of watch movies with black casts.
We gotta do
That's
a
just
poll.
what I.
We have to do a poll. All right. If you're listening to
I may
this,
and I may be wrong. I may be wrong. That may
no,
have
this
just
is
been
funny.
who I
This
grew
is
up
so
around.
funny.
But
If you are a racist white person, do you watch
Yes.
Madea movies? No, I'm just kidding.
Let us know in the
I love how someone's
comments.
I love how someone's gonna like immediately comment, yeah, sure, that's me right here.
Okay,
Oh,
the
you
question
just
is,
outed yourself basically.
no, yes or no. The question
Me?
is, do racist white people like Madea? That's. I'm very curious about what this poll shows.
Yeah.
I feel like, just to clarify what I'm saying though, is I feel like with MAGA people too, but a lot of the MAGA Christians will use anything and everything they can to make an excuse for why they are not bad
Yeah.
people, why they're not racist. And all I'm saying is that growing up around a lot of white Christians that also enjoyed Tyler Perry movies, that is a very that seems
Overlapping.
that might be an overlapping demographic that Christians, there are Christians that will or people who call themselves Christians rather, will support anybody who claims to be one of them, really, unless they are extremely famous. Like if they see Beyonce wear a cross around her neck, they'll say, oh well, now she's the Antichrist though, because she makes music.
There's a lot of nuance and
Yeah.
like details around the gymnastics that people do with when it comes to this kind of stuff, for sure. Because it's also not like the full-blown clan members. They're not watching Tyler Perry.
No,
like
not the
they're
clan
definitely not. But those that are kind of like in denial about being racist, or just kind of like this generational racism that they don't think they are racist, but they do things that are racist. They're the ones that I think CJ is referring to, where it's like they're going to watch it and they don't think that they're this way. And then they don't realize that they're watching literal caricatures of blackness, and they're not actually participating with the culture like that.
It's like the people that sit on the fence and say, I don't talk politics, or I don't do this, or I don't do that. And like, it's the people who sit on the fence and pretend that they don't have a voice in anything, but will also not stand up for anything either. Like that's, I don't know. Now I feel like this is kind of gone. I feel like I said like something super controversial or something, but that's just my experience.
I just
because
think it's hilarious.
When you asked if anybody was a Tyler Perry fan, I wouldn't say I'm a Tyler Perry fan, but I do remember in the early 2000s, I had seen like for at least like a big amount of his filmography that came out between like maybe 2000 and 2008. I'd probably say I'd seen a lot of them. And that's when I was in church. I don't go to, I haven't been to church in years. I don't do that anymore. I don't identify as a Christian anymore. But back when I did, I feel like there was a lot of white Tyler Perry fans.
We gotta see what Ted Cruz thinks.
Speaking of
Ted Cruz probably loves Tyler Perry movies. That's what I'm saying. Ted Cruz would probably love to tell you his favorite Madea film.
Oh my gosh. I bet he can't even name the population of a Madea movie. Anyways, speaking of identity, let's identify some assholes with a few Am I the Asshole threads. CJ, are you familiar with this segment of the show?
I am familiar with it. Now, I feel like it's going to be, am I the asshole for saying that white people like Tyler Perry?
No, certainly not. But I read the title, everyone says yes or no, and then we see what happens. But am I the asshole for refusing to share my birthday with my stepmother?
No.
No, I'd say no.
Yeah, you celebrate your birthday how you want to.
Yeah. Is it like same day? Is it like same week their birthday is? Because I share that with my older brother. We have the same birthday. Actually, hold on. Backtrack. There's a lot of November birthdays in my family. And we all
Interesting.
just collectively said one day, maybe like Thanksgiving, we'll all celebrate all the birthdays
Hmm.
on that day. And
Wait, so
a few
November?
years ago, yeah.
Yeah.
What's 9 months
So
before November?
February,
It's
Valentine's Day.
it's
That's
10
why.
months. 10 months, guys.
Ah!
It's
I'm a
40
no-
weeks.
I'm a
It's four-
November birthday too.
No.
Um,
Hold on. It's not 9 months. It's 40 weeks. So it's 10 months, really, which means it's Martin Luther King Day that they're celebrating in your family.
Wow. This is what Martin Luther King fought for, so
That's what
that
he fought for.
Stefania's parents can get
Those
busy.
Connecticut households.
Anyways, let's read this post.
Tyler Perry and chill.
Oh God. My stepmother's birthday is the day after mine. Since my father started dating her about 10 years ago. I've been expected to share almost every celebration we make for my birthday with her. I was fine with it because I was in my early 20s and had other people to celebrate with, mainly my mom and my friends. But it still bothered me that my dad and I couldn't have our own thing. I'm married with 2 kids, 8 male and 3 female, and we have a little tradition. Because I was born in the second half of June, there is usually a Pixar movie playing in theaters every year on my birthday. We go to the movies and watch it and then have dinner together. We've been doing this since my son was 3. Though we watched the movies at home in 2020 and 2021, this year we're watching Inside Out 2, and it will be my daughter's first time joining us. She just started sitting through the movie, so we're all very excited. I never told my father or my stepmother about this tradition, and last week while we were visiting them, my kids told them we'd be going to the movies for my birthday, and I ended up explaining everything. The next day, my father and stepmother called me to tell me they were paying for the whole family, me, kids, husband, and both of them to go to the movies and have dinner, just like I'd planned. It was obvious they intended to celebrate my stepmother's birthday at the same time. They referred to it as our birthdays and suggested her favorite place for dinner. I told them while I understood it was close to her birthday as well, this is a tradition intended to only celebrate mine, and I prefer to enjoy it with my children and husband. As such, I prefer to pay for myself and would appreciate it if they didn't join us. They're both very upset. My father called me entitled for refusing to celebrate my stepmother's birthday as well as mine and said I'm sending a terrible message to my kids by refusing to share. I feel like I'm too old to be acting like this over my birthday, but I don't want to share this tradition with her. Am I the asshole?
Nope.
I've never
No.
agreed with somebody so fast.
Yeah.
I
Really?
resonate with that.
Yeah.
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 Our
Well-
parents' generation, maybe not like our specific parents, right? But, well, my parents actually, but our parents' generation, they do a terrible job, generally speaking, at understanding that when your kids get to a certain age, they are building their own family,
Mm-hmm.
and you gotta let that go. It's it's not like you'll never see them again. It's not like they're not your kids all of a sudden. But they're building their own family, man. You got to just let that go. Unless the dynamic is healthy and exists in a way where you're part of that dynamic, then that's a different story. But 9 times out of 10 with stories like this, they're just not understanding that, that's a boundary. Sorry.
Yeah. And also, like, as someone who does share a lot of birthdays in my family, we just all take one day to celebrate all. I got to a point when I got older, where I was like, I don't want to share birthdays anymore. I want to like have my own celebration, like do my own thing. Like I want to celebrate my birthday, especially like because I turned 21 during COVID. I never really got to enjoy my early 20s. And so I'm like, well, now I want to do my own thing for every year. I try to do something on my birthday, and I never do anything on my birthday because it's just hard to like actually do something now. Because I'm like 25, still feeling like I'm 21. So it's weird.
Interesting.
And actually, I heard this thing yesterday that says 25 is the new 21. Because people my age, we are our early 20s, we grew up during COVID, turned 21 during COVID. And also number two, a lot of I guess like people my age, they don't have their like set career or like set goals until they're like 25. Whereas you're expected to have it at 21 when you graduate college and you have a job, right? But now at 25, 26, now is when we're are 21 having our jobs that we want or careers that we want or just starting. Anyway, that's an off-topic rant. But I will say, no, you're not the asshole because you, one, are a grown adult with a family, so you should be able to celebrate your birthday with your family how you want to, right? And two, it's your birthday. You can celebrate how you want. That's kind of the same thing as number one, but I'm just going to say it again. It's your birthday. Celebrate how you want.
I don't think it's that deep. I truly don't think it's that deep. I think she could have went to the movies with her stepmom.
Oh God,
Oh, what?
Justin.
Disagree.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Hear me out.
Again, I'll say it again. I said it last episode. I think I've said it like 3 times at this point. Justin has amazing parents. He loves his parents so much and loves hanging out with them so much. But that's just not the case for everybody. Like to specifically say like I don't want you there for my birthday, that means no, man. That's it.
Here's the thing.
Well,
she's not an asshole for wanting that. I don't think there's any assholes here at all. Like, you have the right to do that. That being said, it's a movie. You're spending you can't spend 2 hours in a dark room where you don't talk.
But is it like every year that this happens?
She also invited herself.
Yes,
she invited
that's
herself.
asshole behavior.
And if this
that's
happens
rude.
every year, that's getting annoying, you know? Like, one year, I can understand. But, like, every single year you want to do that?
For sure.
Also,
but it's not that deep.
She has kids.
I don't think it's that deep.
Hold on. She's got 2 kids. What is it? 8 and 3 years old, right?
Yes.
The last thing somebody wants when they have some free time and they have kids and they finally have some free time to celebrate themselves or whatever, the last thing they're going to want is to have to turn on that social battery and deal with your parents. So it's not so much about not talking during the movie. It's about the hey, how are you? Oh my god. Oh blah, blah. And then after the movie, let's go to dinner. Oh blah, 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 blah. When are you guys gonna have another one? Oh blah, blah, blah. Because grandparents are annoying. From a parent perspective, grandparents can be annoying because they're there's that clash. So it's a family dynamic.
But I have a question for Justin. Did you grow up with your front door always unlocked?
No, who would do that? Why?
Okay. I'm saying that it's hypothetical because in like European or Hispanic households, the door's always open for family. Door's always unlocked. They will show up at any moment, unexpected, and you're not prepared. And my parents and like older generation grew up that way, and every time people would come over, they'd be excited, right? Doesn't matter if they were prepared or not. They would always have like cookies to put out on the table or something, food. But me, now, I'm like, I can't. I need to be prepared. My room is not clean. My house is not organized. I have stuff that I have to do. You can't just show up unexpected.
8 hours of sleep. Yep.
Yeah, like I'm not prepared. So that's like the culture in European and Hispanic households. That's what it's like.
I was actually just in this scenario, Justin, on Father's Day.
Ooh.
So let me say I have a good relationship with my dad. We see each other all the time because they moved out to Texas a few years back because I've been here like 10 years. But my parents are about 25 minutes away from me door to door. So I see my dad a lot. I talk to my dad on the phone a lot. I have a good relationship with my dad. And the day before Father's Day, we were planning on going to see How to Train Your Dragon. And I have a daughter too. And so the day before Father's Day, my wife was at my parents' house and my grandma was there. And she said, "What are you guys doing tomorrow? Are you coming over?" And my wife said, "No, I think we're going to just, lounge around the house and we might go watch a movie." And she says, "Doesn't CJ want to see his dad on Father's Day? He's not going to, you're telling me he's not going to come see his dad on Father's Day and spend Father's Day with him?" And she said, I love my wife because she goes, "Well, he's a father too. He's going to spend it with, he has a daughter that wants to spend Father's Day with him.
Take that, Grandma."
So he's going to be celebrated as a father. But it's that's the thing is like, if it's your birthday or if it's your Father's Day, like when you have your own family, there's a point in time where you begin starting your own traditions, because they did it at some point. Your parents started their own traditions. So I mean, I
True.
think that's the way
I think
it
it's
is.
You know what
different
that
because
reminded me
I've
of?
never.
You say
Oh,
they did it at some point. Sorry, this is just real quick. You say they did it at some point, their parents, right? It just brought me back to this. My parents' honeymoon, my grandparents with them on their honeymoon.
Oh my god.
hell
Yeah.
no, hell no.
That was the thing. That was a thing where it happens often in, like, I guess Italian households, European, whatever, where like the grandparents will come with you on the honeymoon as like a vacation.
Nope,
Yeah.
nope, no, thank
Anyway,
you.
that was a little side story.
I have some good news. There is an update.
Ooh.
Update. I posted here about a year ago, and I meant to update, but completely forgot about it. Still, I was very grateful for your reply, so I want to let you know what's been going on. First of all, as I write this, I've just celebrated my birthday, June 22nd, with my husband and kids. We watched Elio in theaters and went to a restaurant I love. It was wonderful. My father and stepmother were not involved as they traveled for her birthday. Secondly, your comments on my first post, as well as some other things I had going on in my life at the time, led me to reflect a lot about my relationship with my father. I've chosen to save the majority for that of therapy. Misspoke. But what's most relevant here is that I realized that I don't really know how to celebrate my birthday. I've been expected to prioritize what others wanted since I was a teenager. The things we do and the places I'd celebrate at were rarely my picks and always for someone else's benefit. Whenever I said anything about that, I get told that I'd be acting spoiled. My stepmother's presence made it a lot worse at the time. At least when I was younger, it still felt like it was about me. I genuinely love the birthday tradition I have with my family, but I have no idea what I'd like to do otherwise. One day, me or my children might grow out of this, or these films will plummet in quality to a degree that I can't even defend. But if that time comes, I need a backup plan. I spent the majority of the last year discovering things I genuinely enjoy doing. I'm almost always busy at work, so I'm still working on it, but I made some progress. Turns out I love pinball, painting, board games, and building miniatures. My abilities on all those above range from mediocre to awful, but I have time to learn, and the list keeps growing. My husband just got me a huge Lego set for my birthday, and we started working on it after the kids went to bed. And it will take us a while to finish it, but I love it already. As for my father and stepmother, after our celebration last year, which they didn't hijack as some of you thought they would, things were rough for a while. I ended up having a few long conversations with my father about our relationship. Most relevant here, I made it very clear that the fact that we couldn't at least celebrate my birthday privately upset me a lot, and I would not share my birthday with my stepmother anymore. But overall, our relationship is doing all right. Not great, but it's better than last year. I do feel like it's something we're both working on improving. I think that's everyone. Thank you.
Nice.
Isn't that nice? What a nice update. It all worked
You
out.
see?
Yeah.
You see how you were wrong, Justin
You
Jordan?
wanted her to
Not
go to the
wrong.
movies with them.
Yeah, look at you.
No, I think we're quick to judge. I think people, especially in Emma the Hat's whole situation, like cut them off.
Yeah.
Cut them off completely. And I'm like, no, I think just a conversation did wonders, you know?
Yeah,
Like, I
a lot
think
of times the
everyone-
boundary does a lot more than just be a boundary, but kind of opening into like growth. So it's nice.
See, it all worked out in the end. We could end the show right here, or do we have time for one more?
That was a solid one. I like that one.
Yeah, that was a really solid one.
That was a good one. I think I can end the show right here. Thank you so much for joining us, CJ. It was wonderful.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Where can the people find you on the internet?
Just about anywhere, whether it be TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, I am at Sidekick Inc., and that is INK with a K. Ink with a K.
Nice.
People misspell that all the time. People put Inc. And
Yeah,
it's
like Murder
actually-
Inc. Yeah.
Yeah, well, like Monsters Inc. even is what the
Oh,
first that comes to
that's
my mind.
sure.
But fun fact: when I started my Instagram in 2018, it was a outlet to post some like artwork I was drawing. So the ink was a play on like art. and ink, So that's why it's got a K.
Nice. I thought of it as
case you were wondering.
Sidekick Kink. But that's beside the point. You can follow the
I
show.
was.
on-
Whoa!
You can follow the
Play it,
show.
play it,
Play it. Dun dun
Play it.
dun dun dun
Oh,
dun.
gosh.
No.
Anyways, you can follow the show wherever on the internet. That is TikTok, Twitter, Blue Sky, YouTube, and all those good places.
MySpace.
And- Oh yeah. Do we have a Wait, no. Do we have a MySpace?
I'm actually about to make a MySpace because I just saw yesterday that somebody has one. They made one
Making a
as a
comeback?
joke.
Still exists?
It's not the same, not in the same fashion, but it exists
Oh.
still. So
You know what? Make an aim for us as well.
Oh my
hell yeah.
gosh.
See,
Get
I know
out.
that. I'm not too young. I had one.
We gotta end
I
the
had
show.
an
We
aim
gotta,
account.
You were
we
too
gotta
young
end
to
the
have one,
show.
that's for sure.
End the show. Bye, y'all.